In this video, we're going to show you to install the Serpentine belt tensioner on your Volvo XC90 located behind the AC compressor. With the hood open, go ahead and locate the cover on the driver's side of the engine compartment. We want to lift this up and off. Set that aside. Now that we have the cover off there, we want to come over here and we want to remove this air intake. It's going to be two 8mm bolts. Using our socket and our driver, we're going to loosen and remove this. Hold on to that hardware, we'll be using that later on. Now we need to take this, wiggle it out of the base of the air filter box and twist this up, rotate that out. At the top of the air intake tube, you can use our flathead screwdriver or you can use your 8mm to loosen the hose clamp. We want to go ahead and remove our air filter box here, including the ECU. We need to separate the wire harness from the air filter lid, so we're going to use our trim tool. Pop out the plastic buttons here. Please note, sometimes these plastic retainers are brittle and they may break. They are not detrimental to the operation of the vehicle, so you can use plastic ties later on to re-secure them if necessary. Now before we disconnect this, we want to give it a quick spray with some solvent and clean up that connection area. Make sure you're wearing safety glasses when doing this. There's two little buttons right here. You're going to press those in and pull this out. As these go in, the connector is going to come out. Pop those off. Pop that off. Now the airbox itself has a mounting tab that comes over to the inside of the fender area, and there's a threaded stud right here. You may have a plastic nut or something securing that there. In most cases, once the box is separated or the air intake tube is separated, you can just kind of push the box over and it'll just pop that plastic retainer right off. You can go ahead and pop that on if you have that later on. And lift up our air filter base here. Now we do have a mass airflow sensor on the side of the box here. There's a tab right here. You want to pinch that and wiggle this connector off. Whatever you do, do not pull on the wires. But now we can go ahead and remove this whole unit and set it aside. Go ahead and remove the engine cover itself and simply lift up on the edges, popping it off of the metal studs. And go ahead and set that aside. Now we want to follow our air intake tube down, and down here there's going to be a baffle that is held onto the air intake tube with a hose clamp. So we're going to use our 7mm socket and a really long extension. Get on down here. Now I want to reach down there, see if we can separate that baffle from the intake tube. Now reach down with our stubby ratchet and our 7mm socket. You want to get on that, and we'll loosen this. All right, now that we have that clamp loose, we should be able to lift the air intake tube up and out. We now want to go ahead and work our power steering reservoir up and out. Set that over, and then we use our 8mm socket to loosen and remove these two bolts. Let's go ahead and remove that bracket, set that aside. Now we have this bracket here that attaches to the back of the AC compressor area, and it comes up and attaches to the top of the motor. There are two 10mm bolts right here. Loosen and remove that. Then there's one right here. These are clearly two different sizes. And then up on the top, we have a 13mm bolt. Let's go ahead and get to that one. I'm gonna go ahead and use my regular ratchet with this one to break this one free. Then go ahead and spin that one out. All right, now on our particular vehicle, there's a plastic tie here holding the harness to it. So we're simply gonna grab a pair of cutters and we're gonna snip that. Slide that bracket out. Next thing we want to do is go ahead and gain access to our Serpentine belt tensioner, and it's down behind our AC compressor. Now what we're going to do is we're going to reach down around the back side and we're going to put a wrench on this portion right here, and we're going to push down on the belt tensioner. As that goes down, we're going to use this very pin that we're holding right now and going to insert into this hole, and it's going to line up with another hole inside the tensioner, and it's going to lock it in the open position, allowing us to loosen that belt. Now to perform this job, we're going to use our 19mm open end wrench, and we have a steel pin here to go ahead and lock the tensioner in place. The open end is going to be facing up, not down. I'm going to reach around behind the harness and get our wrench. Right there. I'm going to push down on that wrench and use that pin and put it in here. There it is right there. The pin just popped in. Remove our wrench and we can check that belt. Clearly see that it's sloppy now, so our tension is off that tensioner. Now making things a little bit easier, we're going to go ahead and tuck our reservoir off to the side here. I'm going to use a securing strap, and I'm just going to kind of anchor this down out of the way. That way there, when we remove our AC compressor, we're just going to have this whole area to work in. Now on the front of our AC compressor, we have two electrical connectors here. Now sometimes due to the debris that gets stuck in here like dirt and stuff like that, if you use some spray solvent on these connectors, it'll actually wash some of that away. Now I'm going to use a pocket screwdriver, and I'm going to come down inside here and pinch the little tab on the bottom, and we're going to push this off. Now there's one beside it, we're going to do the same. Pop that off like that and tuck that harness aside. We now want to go ahead and remove our AC compressor. Now we're keeping our lines attached. We should be able to go ahead and unbolt this and move this out of the way. We are going to go ahead and remove the belt as we remove the AC compressor. The two 10mm bolts here and up here. Going to use our 10mm socket and our extension here. There's one there. Now you do want to take note that the two bolts are different lengths. The longer one goes on the lower left, the shorter bolt goes on the upper right. I'm going to take our AC compressor, going to pull this up, kind of wiggle this up and off, and then slide our belt off. And take that compressor and we should be able to manipulate this up and out of the way a little bit. Now we want to go ahead and remove our belt tensioner. There's a 10mm bolt right here. We're going to use our 10mm socket and our 1/4" ratchet. Go ahead and pull out that bolt. Pull the pin out from that slot. Work that belt off. And remove the tensioner. Now you can follow the belt diagram on the screen. That way there, when we install the belt, you'll know where to run the belt around the pulleys. Now we want to take the belt and we want to grab both pieces of it and pull it up. Going to take our belt tensioner, feed that in and underneath the 2 pieces of belt there. Drop this down into position. We make sure that this tab falls down into this notch. And then we're going to take our bolt, line that up, and feed that in. Run that bolt in as far as you can by hand. Now we have our bolt run in almost all the way. We'll go ahead and use our ratchet. Snug that gently. Now if you have the ability to do so, you want to go ahead and torque this down to 8 foot-pounds. If you can't do that, just make that snug. Next step is go ahead and bring our AC compressor back and in. I am going to release our securing strap on our reservoir here. Get that out of the way. And we go ahead and lower the compressor down in a position. Now as we bring this down, we do have to pull the belt up and on to the pulley itself. So as we pull the belt up, we do want to make sure that the belt is on our pulleys all around. Just double check and make sure the belt is on the tensioner, on the power steering pump pulley, and then obviously on the front. Work the belt onto the AC compressor. Drop that in a position. You can go ahead and rotate that belt. Make sure everything lines up nice, and it is. Let's go ahead and install the bolts on our compressor. I put some anti-seize compound on the threads themselves. The longer bolt goes on the lower left. The shorter bolt on the upper right. Definitely get these started by hand first, and then we can grab our power tool and zip those in. I'm going to torque these down to 11 foot-pounds. Now before we pull the pin on our tensioner, we do want to go ahead and rotate this. Make sure the belt is on all of the pulleys. We're now going to go ahead and remove the pin. There it is. Tension is on the belt. Perfect. Let's install our connectors here. You want to make sure you feel them click in a position. Install our bracket next. Lift up in that harness, slide this underneath. Let's go go ahead and drop our bolts into position. We have our long bolt here that goes through the AC compressor. We have our short bolt that goes right around the back side. Just get that started, a couple threads. And then we have the larger bolt that goes up top here. I am going to go ahead and run these down as far as I can by hand. Or you can use your impact driver to go ahead and run those in. We do want to go ahead and just snug these down gently. Install our reservoir bracket here. These here will simply get snugged down. Go ahead and grab that reservoir and drop that right down inside that bracket. Pop it in. Let's get to lower our air intake tube down into position. You want to make sure that fully seats onto the throttle body. We're going to go ahead and use our long extension to get down there and tighten up our hose clamp. Make sure it's good and snug. We can lower our clamp down in a position. I'm going to get that on the outside of the port here. We're going to feed the baffle over. Make sure that's fully seated in there. With that installed, we're going to use our extension to come around the back side of the baffle and tighten down the hose clamp. Good, snug that down. I'm going to install our air filter box here. On the bottom, there's a rubber seal right here, and this presses into the pinch weld on the body itself. Lower that down into position. As we do this here, we need to get our intake tube lined up as well. Press this down. Work the intake tube on. It's going to tighten down our hose clamp here. Now that we have this connected, we can install the connector here for our mass airflow sensor. It's right on the back side. The little lock tab faces out. Line that up and pop that up and on. You're going to hear and feel it engage. That brings us to our computer installation here. You're going to push that on, and it's only going to go so far. There's going to be about a ½ inch gap here. As you push the lock lever over, it's going to suck this in and lock it in a position. You're going to hear that click and lock in. Do the same on this side here. Install the lid. Install the air intake tube. Press this down inside. Insert it into the air filter box base. Now that we have the base installed into the base of the air filter box, line this up and get our bolts started. And go ahead and snug them down. Don't forget to top off your power steering fluid from us disconnecting the hose on the pump. Remove the cap. There is a minimum and a max line on the reservoir. Use the appropriate fluid for this here. Go ahead and fill that up to the max line there. Remove that funnel and install the cap. Now installing the lid, there's going to be 4 rubber grommets that line up with the studs on top of the engine. If you line up the center oil fill cap, they'll almost fall right into place. Push it down, you can feel it pop in, and you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.